Hey Shaline, what's going on? Are you okay?
I'm alright, I guess. I'm just working on some show notes.
But Shaline, Katie Radio has ended.
I know. I just miss feeling like I'm part of something amazing.
Hey guys, what's wrong with Shaline?
She's having a moment because the show is over. She's trying to lift her sorrows by writing show notes again.
Show notes? Like for a new show?
Wait a minute. That's it! We should do a new show.
Calculating probability of success 100%.
Shaline, he's doing it again.
No, seriously, you guys. What a great idea. The three of us should make a podcast.
Yeah, Rick was a great co-host, and Vendor, you're a great co-host. Together, we'll be unstoppable.
Yeah, so what should we call it?
Shaline-landia.
That's nice.
How about something more general? After all, this will be a general gaming podcast, right?
Okay, I got it. How about this? Gamestack.
Fantastic.
Dude, that's awesome.
Oh, Miss Effie was her name. Through the West she won her fame.
Vendortron, Rick, and I are proud to present Gamestack, part of We Just Love Games, the podcast dedicated to bringing you everything gaming and some not-so-gamey topics.
With the success Shaline and I had with Katie Radio and Followed Off the Record had with Shaline and Rick, imagine what we can do together.
And you can catch us live at twitch.tv/We Just Love Games on Fridays at 6 p.m. Mountain Time and 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You can also find us on Twitter at We Just Love Games and on our YouTube channel, We Just Love Games.
Gamestack, because we just love games.
I'll never do it again.
Oh, I missed my line. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Okay.
Just
Okay. Give me a second here. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the inaugural episode of Gamestack Podcast. I'm Shaline, and joining me is Rick McVick.
Hello, everybody, and I've brought my big mug today.
Yay, big mugs. Maybe the show will be less on fire. And Vendortron, the genius behind that amazing trailer.
Oh, thank you, Shaline. Welcome, sir or madam. Happy Friday. Happy new podcast. Very excited. Very excited for what's coming down the pipeline, guys.
As are we all. Thank you so much, everyone who is joining us in the live Twitch chat. We're very glad to be back doing a podcast. The streams are real fun, and we're going to keep doing those streams on the off weeks, every other week. But it is really, really nice to be back to doing a podcast, you guys.
Mm-hmm. And the reason I chortle erupted, that's my way of saying I interrupted by laughing, was because Joseph Town in the chat room says no more Mickey ears, and I completely forgot about that. They're still up over on the wall, but my head is in a different location.
I have to say that I don't know how I'm going to be able to adjust to a stack of guitars and no chords hanging, and also your Pip-Boy container is missing, and your bunny.
I know. I need
bunny
to
in the background.
So I was going to get everything ready. I have a big Vault Tech flag. I was going to kind of hang behind me, fly my colors, as it were. And what happened was I was sitting at home today, and also I had like this whole intro thing planned for the music I created for the show. And what happened was I got a call this morning at like 10, and my boss down at CBS Radio was like, "Hey, you coming today?" I was like, "What?" And I had what we call a radio remote, where I had to go on location with two personalities and basically run the whole radio show. And then that was till 6, and it was an hour and a half away, and I had to be up here at 8. And so it was like,
true story, guys. True story.
It was like I didn't get anything ready. It was just like I dropped everything and left this morning. So
I woke up this morning and I said, "Good morning, guys. Are you ready to make a podcast?" And Shaline piped up and said, "Good morning." And Rick was like, "Oh, right. Yeah.
About that.
I have a thing." And we were like, "What?"
said a few tasteful words. I was very
Yeah.
upset. I completely forgot. It was my
Well,
fault.
I'm really glad that you could make it.
Me too.
Yeah, I was lucky. It wrapped up at 6 right before the ball game started. So
So we didn't even have to bump the time or anything.
no.
So it is really great, guys, to be back on a podcast with each of you. I've done podcasts with both of you, but never together. So that's a nice little shakeup. And let's talk a little bit about because this is our first episode of Gamestack. So let's talk just a little bit about what our goals are with this podcast and what we want to do. You know, what makes this podcast different from all the other podcasts out there. Vendortron, do you want to start?
Well, guys, I think that when we look back on our prospective endeavors in the podcasts that were done before, this is really just kind of an iteration of that. We are taking that and we're making it even better. And one of the emphases that I really like that the three of us are following is this community-based approach. So, we are involving you guys more, and we are taking more time to engage with the people who listen to the show and who watch the show. And so that for me is really important. But at the same time, this is a hobby, and that makes it even all more enjoyable. So what about you, Rick?
Yeah, during this whole are we talking about the name thing? Because that's kind of a big part of this show and why we're doing it.
Sure.
We love games and Gamestack. I ironically have a stack of 64 games here that I was doing Foley with earlier, and it all of them are from my childhood. And it's this whole show is a culmination of love and passion and everything that we've poured into games, or the hours and stuff. It's kind of like now it's our pouring back into the community. And just to kind of reiterate what Vendor said is community was a big driving force behind this. We loved the communities that we had on the other podcast we did, and we just wanted to facilitate our own. So yeah, we're here now doing
Yeah.
Yay. I would like to say that it's really great to have the opportunity to do this podcast with two of the best friends that a girl could have. And I would also like to thank everybody out there for the tremendous support that we've received. We're building something from the ground up here, completely from scratch. And it's exciting. It's also kind of scary. But we've had so many supportive messages and retweets and replies and just tremendous support from you guys in the community. And I wanted to say thank you for that.
Yeah, and one of the things I'd like to say too is that in the opening credits, you saw Rick and Shaline and myself, but you also saw a few other names, and those are the people that support the show directly by contributing their time and products that they create for us to use, like the Gamestack logo that you see on the screen here, which was created by Rick's wife, Mrs. McVick, which is a lovely logo that we love so much. And Ben Yannick was kind enough to do the avatars for us that we have on Twitter. And I think, Rick, did you get an avatar yet?
No, but I was trying to point to the logo.
And you pointed
No,
the
it's
wrong way.
the wrong way.
It's always mirrored.
It's that way.
I like how I can watch myself fail.
That was
Well, you're good at audio.
I
but-
wasn't gonna call it out, but it was pretty funny. I was laughing on the inside.
But yeah, going along those lines, we have a few awesome moderators extraordinaire. Joseph Tao, who has been through us since the beginning. Kern Jess as well, who may or may not be in the chat room. She is dealing with a little bit of a work crisis at the moment, so hopefully she gets that's all sorted. And Archon, our newest moderator extraordinaire. So welcome back, guys, and welcome to the family.
Archon's a mod. Awesome. I didn't realize that.
Mm-hmm.
Archon's amazing. Thanks to Archon for all his help.
Also, Bree in the chat real quick says the voices are back, as well as Squeaky Chair.
Oh man. Okay, so
priming to remedy this.
if you go to our Facebook page, we have a GoFundMe set up
For Rick's chair.
to get Rick a new chair. This is my goal before the end of 2017.
Oh Oh goodness!
Preferably
I
one of
can't
those, like,
believe we're
racing seat gaming chairs.
still dealing with this chair. I can't believe it, Rick.
This chair
Still
is
dealing
like
with this chair.
5 years old.
Yeah.
No, this thing's like 6 years old. Ugh.
Well,
I got
Rick,
it when I moved into this house.
it's us or the chair, buddy.
Sounds like a Seinfeld episode.
I have no emotional ties to this chair. I really don't mind if it dies in a fire.
Should we
As
do
long
a
as I-
podcast?
Let's do a podcast. We do have one of those planned for you guys today. We're going to talk about some great news. I know Vendor wants to talk about the Fallout board game, and Rick's very excited about some Guild Wars stuff, and I'd like to talk about a touching Nintendo tribute. We've got some gameplay. I've been playing Uncharted. What have you guys been playing?
Well, I'll
We're
allude to that a little
teasing.
bit
We're
later
teasing.
on.
We're teasing what we're playing. No?
Oh, teasing.
Yeah, this is the tease right now.
I've been going back in time, actually, back to the 90s.
Oh, cool! Some retro stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to talk a little bit about we've sort of named our channel We Just Love Games, and we want to talk a little bit about why we just love games, and that's gonna roll in. We don't have any emails yet because this is episode number 1, but I do have some great Facebook things that I'd like to share with the community. And let's roll on into the news. Vendortron, take it away.
Well, guys, I am happy to say that pre-orders are now out for the Fallout board game on the Bethesda store, and which is super exciting. I don't know if you've played Tabletop Sim, but there is actually a Fallout board game on there that somebody has created.
Mhm.
I don't know how similar it is, but it looks almost the same. So I wonder if there's a connection there. Or maybe that's like an elusive conspiracy Bethesda put out, They put it out like a year before they ever expected to release it. I don't know. Survivors basically begin the game on the edge of an unexplored landscape, uncertain of what awaits them in an unfair world, the desolate wasteland, as you expect, and with just one objective to guide them from the very beginning. Each player must explore the hidden map, fight ferocious enemies and ghouls, and build the skills of their survivor as they attempt to complete challenging quests and balance feuding factions within the game. So it's pretty exciting. As you advance, your survivor story, your player becomes more developed as it would in the game, and you come across new quests and individual targets that actually lead you to gain influence within the game. So karma. I think it's that same kind of concept that we saw in Fallout New Vegas. And who comes out ahead will actually depend on how keenly and aggressively each player ventures through the game. So however a single faction is pushed to power too quickly, the wasteland will be taken for their own and the survivors conquered along with it. So yeah, so you can actually get your pre-order in on the Bethesda store. Pre-sale is $60. Orders are held until the game becomes available, which is expected to be sometime in January of 2018. So if you're excited about that. How do you guys feel about Fallout board game?
I can't.
Go ahead.
Single file, please.
I can't wait to see the bug features that are going to be in this game.
Are the pieces gonna just clip through the board sometimes?
Or like start twirling? Start twirling, just twirling, or like walking around like
the dice won't stop flipping around.
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing. You know that how New Vegas used to do that thing where it would just spin and string out? The dice will be doing that.
I would love it if you just like picked up like one of like a card that's supposed to say something on it and it was just blank.
Someone's gonna find some misspelling and be like, there it is.
Glitch.
That's amazing.
/feature.
Well, if you're into gaming and you're also into vacationing, this next story may be for you. Have you ever looked for a vacation spot but contemplated bringing your gaming console or rig with you? Well, if the answer is yes, then you're not alone because Shaline does it too.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Don't we all?
But you're in luck. There's actually a hotel in Taiwan that brings the gaming experience to your vacation without the added weight to your luggage. The I Hotel, located in Taiwan's Toyang district, is a hotel which caters to couples on vacation while also taking care of everyone's inner gamer. which is super cool. Each room is actually fully equipped with 2 beefed up PC gaming rigs, complete with a gaming chairs for each rig, as well as 46-inch TVs with connections to better your overall experience. But let's get down to brass tacks here. A stay in this alternative vacation experience will run you about $100 a night. And if that's a little bit out of your price range for Taiwan vacationing, you can book a room at an hourly rate of $12 up to $75 for 15 hours. It gets even better. If you feel that you've been sitting too long in your hotel room and you've been gaming too long and you should probably get up and get some exercise, you can get up and head on down to the lobby and socialize with other gamers and play games with them in the lobby on more gaming consoles.
That's amazing. So like if you get lonesome, you just go and play some multiplayer in the lobby.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah, it's basically
This is one of those things that when I read it, I think, well, why hasn't this been done already?
Yeah.
Like that seems like a no-brainer.
I feel like this is, I was like, I'm really surprised that this is not a thing in the US.
I know.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
I have to take my, we don't have we PC game in this house here. And we haven't gotten a new console yet, partly because the remastered version of Shadow of Colossus is not confirmed if it's just going to come out for PS4 only. At least I don't know. So if it is, then I'm going to get PS4. But we're stuck with taking the Xbox 360 on vacations, which is fun because Casual Crafters is on there.
see, if you go to Taiwan, you don't have to bring your Xbox
There you go.
360.
Now here's the thing. Here's what I just thought. All of our games are on Steam libraries, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you got to download them.
I thought of the same thing. I was like, are you able, like, can you have them
things in
pre-install
Japan-
your games?
Yeah,
or...
things in Japan happen differently, I guess.
Yeah.
But, you know what? The one thing, or Taiwan, not Japan. The one thing that I would have suspected was that Korea came out with this idea first, because Korea, as a society, is a huge gaming society.
Absolutely.
Like, it's a huge thing there. So maybe they do have it, and we just don't know. I don't know.
I do, though. I
quite a
can
Zima-
kind of see the appeal to this, though, because I packed a launch day Xbox One, a big old giant Xbox One, to a hotel to play Far Harbor, and the TV didn't have an HDMI port. So
I remember that. That was a sad time.
so I can kind of see the allure of going somewhere where you know your stuff's gonna work.
Wow, that mug really is quite large.
It's enormous.
It's like covers your whole face.
For our audio folks, Rick is drinking coffee, presumably from a mug that is the size of a cereal bowl. It's huge.
Yeah. It's called
Nice.
the Belgian dip.
I used to. I hate this chair. I used to. Everything.
Oh man.
I am a throwback and chortle kind of fellow, and
Well,
I can't do it in this thing.
Oh yeah, but you know what? We're gonna clip the sound of that chair and put it on the We Just Love Games website. You guys can download it and use it as a text tone.
So when like the most annoying person is texting you, it'll be the squeaky chair noise. That would be amazing.
Oh, I love it. I love it. But you know that I've stayed in hotels before where they've had you open up the drawer under the TV and there's like 12 different connectors. And you're like, yes, this is the best place on
Nice.
earth.
Nice.
But
we just have Bibles in those drawers,
yeah,
or the red, white, yellow cables. That's technology down here.
Pretty much.
So what have you got for news this week, Rick?
Oh, I have a couple things actually. I will get started with something that I had seen earlier. I think it was last week, where September 18th actually. What was that? That was No, it was Monday.
It's Monday.
That now this is kind of a roundabout way of, dealing with games. But for the first time, light has been stored as sound on a in like a chip setting. So they stored information, light-based information, as sound waves on a computer chip.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and we already transfer stuff like via optical, which is pretty much that concept. But the problem is we can't, like, as far as computers are concerned, we can't take that speed and have computer chips like CPUs process it properly. So that's like the next step.
Right.
But think about your computer or even your consoles, like the new Xbox or whatever, running on a light speed based system. Like that's the level of performance we're talking about here.
Well, say goodbye to the spinning wheel.
Yeah, like it's insane, and it's just starting to happen now. But the implications of it, if we can get it to work, I say we, like I have a thing to do with it. But if scientists can get it to work, this is going to be huge in the world of gaming and computing in general. I mean, the processing power will just jump up immensely. And I think I've talked to a lot of different people in the computer industry and hardware, if I'm not mistaken, I always forget, but I think hardware is kind of where we're plateauing at. I mean, you always see new CPUs come out, but they're always just like, well, it's like 0.1 gigabits faster. And like, it's,
well, the problem, it's always a mechanical factor.
Right. Yeah. Heat and all that stuff. Cause you create that energy, it has to dissipate somewhere, but this is and also the other thing about this does not produce heat. So
really?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
no more worrying about things overheating. That's amazing.
What I'm really curious about is what kind of other applications would this technology have? Electric cars, response time for safety braking. What kind of implications will that have on the stock market even? Or, like,
who knows?
Oh man.
It's crazy, but it's cool. I think it's pretty impressive.
That's fascinating.
So if you want to find out more about that, I found the article at sciencealert.com, and you can just search for braking light was stored as sound for the first time ever, and that was on sciencealert.com. The other thing I wanted to talk about is actually coming out next week, and I'll talk about it a little bit more then. But I want to make everybody aware that if you haven't heard about it now, right here is where you heard it for the first time, maybe. So Cuphead, I don't know if anyone else has been following this at all, but Cuphead is essentially a platformer side scroller in the realm of like Contra type of thing, and its art is inspired by 1930s cartoons before, I think it was the Henry sensor, I forget what it is, somebody was probably
my god, that looks amazing.
It's terrifyingly creepy. I mean, if you remember those old cartoons from like the 20s and 30s, and they were like made no damn sense. They were completely weird and off the wall, just creepy and all this weird death stuff. Anyway, I loved them. But this game takes after that. Also, everything's hand drawn. Everything.
That's incredible.
They drew everything, drew all the animations, and then computer colored it and then turned it into computer animations. And one of the things that people have been saying about it is it's too tough. But what they tried to do is they tried to make it tough but fair. So if you look at the videos of the gameplay online, because it's been at a few like gaming conventions and that sort of thing.
And for those of you in the chat, I just posted a link for that. So
awesome.
If you want to check it out as Rick is talking about it, you're welcome to do so.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks beautiful. Also, the thing you'll also notice is a lot of the sounds in that game are made with people's mouths. Like the guns are like.
Seriously,
I love it.
That's so cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, go and listen to it. It sounds very handmade.
That is really cool. So Archon just mentioned in chat something that I was going to bring up. There was one games journalist who really, really got bashed online because he was so terrible at Cuphead. He couldn't even get through the tutorial. And I just wanted to ask you guys about your thoughts on that. Like this poor guy, like, I don't know. How, what do you think about that?
I would love to, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it's something that's all relative. So if we each of us take one game that we know that we are inherently bad at and do a review on it.
Oh, we would get slaughtered.
Right?
See,
But the thing is, too, is I wonder how many people mocked him and then are going to go play the tutorial and not get through it.
yeah. The thing that I really thought about it was, first off, he's not a reviewer. He was previewing the game. He was not going to be reviewing the game. So that's important to note, I think. But, like, I don't think you need to necessarily be amazing at games to talk about them. As long as you are spending the time.
Exactly.
And also, and I know, obviously.
I mean, how do you
Rick's
think we're doing
like,
this
not
podcast?
me.
Well, I speak for your two selves.
But, like, really.
That's why we put him on the bottom.
As long as you're honest about...
You keep it quiet down there.
As long as you're honest about your gaming skills and not trying to claim skills you don't have, I think it's fine to be awful at games and still talk about them, you know?
You know
Exactly.
what? Some of the games that I am the most awful at, I actually have the most fun playing.
Me too.
It's because when you actually get past something in those games, the reward is much, it feels
Yeah.
much better.
It feels
Yeah,
so
than
good.
if you were playing a game that you already were familiar with.
I also
Right,
think
yeah.
there's no shame in turning on easy mode, you know?
No.
I'm a grown up. I don't have a lot of time. I have responsibilities. I can't be spending 8 hours, you know, slamming my head against the wall. So
Right. And so, back to Cuphead real quick. In the chat room, Joseph Tao was saying that it's one of the 2 exclusives, maybe 3, coming out to Xbox this fall. It's coming out next week, next Friday, the 29th, actually. That's our off
We
day.
should
Maybe
stream it.
that. Ooh.
Ding, 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 ding.
Brainstorm. It's coming to PC, Windows 10 and Steam, and Xbox One. So it's coming to those 2 platforms.
nice.
So I've been looking forward to this forever. I saw the art and I was immediately hooked on that.
I'm just watching the trailer right now, and it looks amazing. It has a very Super Mario Brothers feel to it, but with more nostalgic kind of.
Yeah, they
art.
said it's a little platforming. Like a lot of the previews that I saw were platforming levels, but there are a ton of boss fights, and I saw a few of the advanced boss fights, and they look absolutely horribly difficult.
Yeah, it was
And,
originally built as a series of boss fights, and when Microsoft was publishing it, they insisted that they add in the platforming. So,
Well, I have a feeling that this game is going to be incredibly popular.
I hope so. It looks amazing. So, moving on from that, we'll talk about that. I guess we'll stream that more next week. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe.
I think we should
I
stream
do
it.
want to touch on when I was down in Baltimore today, because the radio gig that I was doing was for the Orioles. Right next door in the convention center, the Baltimore City Comic-Con is going on from September 22nd to the 24th. Today was the first day. So if you're in the Baltimore area or the East Coast and you didn't know this thing was going on, check it out. There are a ton of artists that are going to be there. I tend to think that smaller Comic-Cons that aren't San Diego or New York tend to harken back more to what they were founded on, like comic artists and things like that. The show that I was doing facilitated an interview with Stephen, I can't pronounce his last name. He was Colossus on the Deadpool movie. And he's there, and he's able to do meet and greet stuff. So check out the Baltimore Comic-Con if you're down in the area. The last thing that I want to talk about, and this is the biggest piece of news I think that I have, that if you're a MMO fan and you don't know about Guild Wars, I'm sure you've heard of it. There are 11 million players on this thing now. The Guild Wars 2 released their second expansion. And when I mean expansion, this is not some rinky-dink DLC. This is 5 maps that they've released that are larger than most of the main maps that were out on launch.
Okay, can you give us a banana for scale or what?
If a banana was the size of one of the maps... No. Let me see. It scale's tough. I'll get back to you on scale. But
Can we use the Commonwealth?
Oh,
How many Skyrims?
Dwarfs, the Commonwealth. Dwarfs. I mean, these maps are huge. I'll find a square footage thing. But anyway, what this game has done is they've released the initial game at launch. Then they had a living world season where the whole map changed if you were a part of these events, and they stopped doing that because a lot of people didn't get to be a part of it. And then after that, they released their first expansion called Heart of Thorns, which added I think 5 other maps. They weren't as big as these new ones, but that was one expansion. They released another living world season which had another 4 maps, and now they released this next expansion which has 5 maps in it. And if you're into MMOs, and especially Guild Wars, they have totally changes the game. You have mounts now. You can ride things around everywhere except for PvP, or their world versus world, which is basically server versus server. You have new elite specializations, which give your characters new weapons that they couldn't originally use. If you couldn't use a sword, now you can use a sword, and it completely changes the gameplay and how your character.
Cool.
So it's really cool. I've been playing Mesmer in this game, And the new one for that is Mirage, which is basically just about making clones and being, problematic to kill because you're everywhere all at once. And I'm very excited to do that because that's kind of my play style now. My wife's currently downstairs playing it now. So it looks amazing. It takes place in this place called the Crystal Desert. And if you don't know about Guild Wars, what it basically is all these ancient dragons awoken and the world is coming together to defeat them. But then they find out all this stuff about if they defeat them, also bad things happen. And so this is a continuation on the main overarching story. I mean,
you don't watch Game of Thrones, do you?
Me? No. No. Why? What were you going to say?
Well, I was going to ask if there's any White Walkers.
Oh. No, there are like...
Singing Drake or something. I don't know if you guys seen that clip. Did you see that clip, Shaline?
No.
No.
I'm going to post it later. Well, that's awesome.
So that's all I have for news.
I feel like I should play Guild Wars now.
Oh, real quick. So the size of, let's see here. It looks like the main actual central Tyria. I think they've included.
I like that you. So you and your wife play it together then. Yeah. Family gaming time. Your daughter's gonna be playing it pretty soon.
She already plays it.
Wow.
She's 4.5. So
4.5, and she's playing Guild Wars. What's your excuse?
So basically, all of the maps, as it stands right now, I think are sitting pretty at just over 19,000 miles squared.
Wow.
19,000 square miles. That's just the main map. I mean, it's huge. And they've added bigger maps now, and it's crazy. And it does cost, I think it's $30 if you already own the game to get this expansion, all the story and stuff like that. So, yeah. If you're into MMOs, check out Guild Wars. There is a ton to talk about, and I don't have a lot of time to... Oh, one last stat that I thought was cool. Since the game launched in 2012, over 78, what did I say, trillion experience points have been earned in that game overall.
That's
78 trillion.
That's a lot.
I just had another thought about light computer game, like computing. I mean, just think of how awesome the podcast will be if we all have, light-based computers.
Oh.
Yeah.
It'd be like crystal clear, man.
It'd be so good.
No, I mean, it already is. Thanks to Zoom. If you guys don't have
That's-
Zoom, you should check it out. That's our shameless plug.
Zoom is lots
On
better.
with the rest of the
lots better.
news.
So I had just a couple of items. I really felt like it was a slow news week. There wasn't a ton of news that I was interested in talking about because I felt like what was out there was super negative. There was a lot of negativity in gaming this week, and talk of review bombing and just things that I don't really want to go into. I don't want to spend my free time, talking about that stuff.
So what you're really saying is that Gamestack is a port in a storm.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. This is a place where you can come and feel happy, hopefully. But I wanted to talk about Rockstar Games, one of my favorite subjects, in fact, Rockstar Games. Earlier today, they tweeted out an image featuring a red weathered background and the Red Dead Redemption style font reading Thursday, September 28th, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and their website, rockstargames.com. So, let's speculate, my friends. What does it mean? What will they show
dear.
us? What do you guys think?
Well, I didn't see Red Dead Redemption at E3, and I thought it would be there.
They never do E3. They never
Yeah.
do E3. They're too big for that. They don't need it.
Oh.
They don't need to share the spotlight.
Their chip on their shoulder is rather large. I have never played a Red Dead game.
I
Yeah.
played about a half an hour of it, and it's pretty awesome. It's basically Grand Theft Auto with horses
Yeah.
Oh, then I'm excited for this.
It's
and,
really
and
good.
Chuck Wagon.
It's
So-
really good. It's a Western, it's just a Western game, basically built on the Grand Theft Auto engine, and it's quite good. Quite good.
Mhm.
I want a Western game so bad.
So is that what you're alluding to then here, or
Pardon?
like? Never mind. Just never mind. Never mind.
No, I just wanted to talk about what you guys think they're going to show us or tell us Do you think they'll give us a release date? I know the game was delayed to next year. They were originally going to release this fall, and they delayed it to next year. So what do you think? Are we going to get a trailer? Are we going to get some story information? Or is it going to be like the GTA 5 countdown when they would give us like a screenshot of a helicopter, and then a week later, like someone jogging, and they really tend to drag things out.
I think that it's going to be a trailer to all the microtransactions they'll have in Red Dead Redemption Online.
I would cry. Oh, I would cry. I'm so, like, I know so many people get so much joy from GTA Online, but I feel like GTA Online is absolutely the reason why there was never single player DLC for GTA 5.
I logged on to GTA Online and I spent about 20 minutes making my vehicle. And then I logged in for about 15 seconds and it was blown to smithereens. And I was like, nope. Logged off, went upstairs, made some dinner.
I went on my first GTA Online quest, and I went in to hold up a convenience store. So I'm like robbing the convenience store or whatever. And somebody parks his car in front of the door where I can't get out.
Thank you, come again.
And so, like, I quit out and I tried again. And someone else did the same thing.
Son of a gun.
Parked in front of the door so I couldn't get out. I was like, dang it, guys.
How rude.
And
That's
that was
awesome.
the end of my experience with GTA Online. Goodness.
Well, oh man, you guys
So-
out there, if you're listening to this, why don't you tweet at us and share your GTA first online experience? Let's get some dialogue going on. We got some dialogue coming on in the chat. Our Grubs is asking, what about Wolfenstein 2 coming to Switch? Does it mean AAA games can run on it now?
Well, the thing is, Wolfenstein 2 is going to be on Switch. I would not be going to the Switch version expecting parity with PC or even the other consoles.
Yeah, I think it's a proportional thing. Like Joseph Tao saying, any game could technically run on the Switch, but the resolution and
Yes.
frame rate would both be drastically reduced.
It's
so.
going to be a version of Wolfenstein 2, and it's
Oh,
great
gosh,
that
a
it's
version.
coming.
It's
Wolfenstone.
it's the DOS version.
It's great
Wolfenstone.
that Wolfenstein
guys.
is coming to Switch. You know, it's great. You can play it in the airplane or, you know, laying in bed, you know, with your Switch, whatever. That's great that this is coming to it, but it's just it's not going to be the same. Don't go in expecting. I'm sure it will look good for the Switch, but don't go in.
yeah.
And this is someone who loves her Switch talking. You know, I'm not just being an elitist, but just know that you're going to be getting a different version than people who play on the other consoles.
Yeah,
And I can't-
Wolfenstein Minecraft edition.
Yeah, and I can't wait for Wolfenstein 2. I am so excited for that game.
Yeah, you really
Yeah,
loved
that's really
the
good.
first of the rebooted Wolfenstein, huh?
Say again?
You loved the first of the rebooted Wolfenstein?
Yeah, I played the crap out of that, and then got the DLC Old World. I think it was called Old Blood or something like that, and it was so good. It was just.
Say, Rick, have you got Wolfenstein in that N64 game stack on your desk there?
I don't think they made it for
What
the
are the
64.
games in the stack?
Yeah, they
I wanna
did.
know what
I
the
played
games in the
it.
stack
It
are.
was amazing.
I have in my stacky here. I have Super Mario World 6 or Super Mario 64.
Yeah, you do.
The World Is Not Enough. GoldenEye 007.
Oh, yes. Natalia.
One of my personal favorites, Star Wars Episode 1 Pod Racer.
Oh, it's such a good game.
That's a good one.
Oh, very well-loved Banjo-Kazooie cartridge, if you can see how you can't really
Oh,
see.
yeah.
It's very well-loved.
Banjo-Kazooie.
Star Fox 64 and Lego Racers.
Cool.
I
So,
think
yeah,
Lego Racers is the only one that I haven't played out of that.
You know, I had all these games I had when I was a kid, but I had to buy them all again, except for Lego Racers, because when I stupidly sold my Nintendo 64 with all the games that I had, my mom would not let me sell Lego Racers because she sucked at it so bad. It was her memory of that game console. She, for some reason, just kept running into a wall and could not get off the wall. So that's the only game I have from when I was actually a child. But I've been slowly repiecing together my collection.
Cool.
But yeah, so it's really hard to play those games now. Good Lord. I've tried.
One analog stick.
It's really hard. No, it's just the graphics. I mean, even like if anybody was a fan in the chat room, if anybody was a fan of Shadows of the Empire for the 64 and went back to look at it now, it does not hold up at all. I mean, it's bad. It's really bad.
Well, guys, I had one final news item that I wanted to talk about this week, and it's a real tearjerker, guys. It's a real tearjerker. So it starts out as a bit of an odd story. One Switch owner, I'm sourcing this from Kotaku, by the way. A Switch owner went on a gaming forum and was talking about how NES Golf was randomly on her Switch. Of course, there's no virtual console on Switch, and it just appeared one day on her Switch, and people were joking that her console was haunted. And so then some hackers took to the job and started finding, is there NES Golf, hidden on the Switch? And sure enough, NES Golf is hidden on the Switch, and it appears to be a tribute to the late Satoru Iwata. Now, Iwata, of course, is the one who did the coding for NES Switch. He was the only one willing to take on this job of fitting this game onto an NES cartridge, and he successfully did it. And it appears that Nintendo hid this game in every Switch console with the idea that it would unlock on the anniversary of his death, which is pretty cool.
That's incredible.
And on the Nintendo Directs, he would do this hand gesture, and you do this hand gesture with your Joy-Cons, and you're playing NES Golf.
Wow.
And
that is incredibly personal.
It's pretty amazing. I thought it was a really special thing that they did.
So I take it he's a golfer then? Is that?
No, he just he was the one who coded the game Golf. It was a challenge to fit the game, onto the console, so he did it.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really cool that they did this, I thought, as a tribute to him. And
that is really cool.
Yeah, I wanted to read this final segment here. Kotaku East reporter Brian Ashcraft pointed out the Japanese tradition of omamori, which refers to guide or protect. Traditionally, they are talismans made of silk and paper left at shrines. Now they're made out of all sorts of things, like toys or memory cards, which could help protect digital security, and they channel spirits who would help guide the omamori owner. And it's possible that somebody at Nintendo coded this Golf into the Switch so that Iwata's spirit could help shepherd the console. And that was so touching. I like
that last line too.
Yeah, so maybe Sateri was right. It was a ghost.
That's cool.
That is really cool.
Great news story, Shaline.
So I really wanted to share that. That really touched me. Iwata was a champion of the gaming industry, and I love that this is a great way to remember him. So that's all we had for news this week, unless you gents had something else.
Nope.
Okay, let's talk about what video games we've been playing.
Cool.
Vendortron, you want to go first?
Okay, I'll go first. Well, school has started for me, as many of you know. I've been complaining a lot about that on Twitter and other social media. And so I haven't had a lot of time to play games all that much. And it's grad school, so it's very taxing, lots of studying, lots of things to do. But I have some time riding the train to and fro. And so I've been taken to playing Grid Block. Have you guys ever heard of Grid Block?
No.
It's this incredibly addicting puzzle game, and the only reason I play it is because the train goes underground and I don't have any cellular signal, so I have to pass time somehow. So Grid Block is basically almost like Tetris in a way. You're dragging and dropping series and shapes of blocks, and you have to delete the rows, and it's actually quite difficult. Anyways, yeah. so I've been playing that. I've also been playing. I downloaded a Sega emulator on Steam, which was like $3.59 or something. For Kid Chameleon. Have you ever played Kid Chameleon?
No.
All right, we are gonna make that one of our fortnightly Let's Plays because Kid Chameleon is the cat's pajamas of 1990s video games. Basically, the plot of the game is that there's a new boss of the new virtual reality video game, The Wild Side, begins abducting players, and the main character, Casey, goes to beat it and rescue them. So you get a more of a feel for it in the game's intro. So it's like kids playing in an arcade, and then they get sucked into the game. And then this Casey kid comes along, and he gets sucked into the game, and he's Kid Chameleon. Anyways, so he
So
basically.
what makes him a chameleon? Does he have chameleon powers?
Well, it's.
Already she's challenging the narrative.
I can't really like. I honestly don't know really where the name came from. Only to say that in Japan it was originally where it was originally made is called Chameleon Kid.
Mm-hmm.
So America, because America. So, anyways, as Kid Chameleon progresses through the series of levels containing, deadly enemies and obstacles and stuff, you actually have to, it's a side scroller. So you just do your thing, get to the end, and you got to contain the flag or capture the flag at the end, which progresses you or transports you to the next level. It's super fun. It's super, super fun. It's a very fast moving game, lots of speed run because there is a clock and it counts quick. So we should play it one night. It'd be fun.
Cool.
Yeah, been kind of addicted to it. I used to play it on Sega Genesis. That's where it originally came out. And I been playing it recently on PC, and I used to play it actually on a PC Sega Genesis emulator when I was younger, but had an inkling to play it recently. So, and then you guys have also gotten the test flight invite from Fran.
Yes, listener.
Yeah.
I didn't see that yet. I didn't see that yet.
So there's a lovely lady. She's one of the community managers over at Sega Europe. She sent us some pretty awesome stuff. So I'm excited to check that out and take a look at the give you guys a full report for the next show.
I was totally playing Altered Beast while you guys were talking show notes earlier.
Of course you were. Of course.
Yeah, so thanks to Fran for that. That was really fun.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. So thank you for that. And what about you, Rick? What have you been playing?
I played a ton of No Man's Sky, especially since the Atlas Rising update and the subsequent updates. They finally made that game into something that it should have been when it released. The inventory management is much simpler. The one thing they did change is they did change the way that the aircraft or spacecraft rather navigate. And it's really stupid what they changed it to, at least my beta experimental version. So I had to go back in and reset all the default stuff to the way I liked it. But, they had it so because A and D used to roll the ship. And then they changed it out of nowhere to A and D, just turn the ship to the left or right. And Q and E were roll. And I didn't like how it was set up. So I, reset some of that stuff. But there's so much more game content. There's a lot of submissions now. Most of them are fetch quests or bounties, but in that game, it's stuff to do. So it's fetch quests. All right, in that game, it doesn't make much. That they haven't drilled it into your head too much yet. So they're constantly updating this thing, and I think it's really good. So, and it's kind of cool if you look at the Steam reviews of that game now. It's all still mostly negative, but the most recent 2000. Or 200 reviews or whatever, the most recent ones are all positive. And a lot of them are people saying, oh, this is the game I've always wanted it to be. So it's good. Maybe there's some light at the end of the tunnel for Hello Games. I hope so. That was a very big game to undertake, and I think it's great now. The other thing I've been playing, I started up a new character, New Vegas. Go figure.
New character, I find that hard to believe.
What count is this? 16?
Oh, million.
Way more than that.
Yeah, but
New Vegas is the best though.
So
it is. But I modded it like crazy.
Right.
And I got the out of memory error. I have 16 gigs of RAM in my PC. So there is no way it used even anywhere near all that. So I don't know what it was, but that kind of frustrated me. So I like
It was probably
stopped.
Shalene's hat mod or something.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And then I've just been playing a ton of Guild Wars. Like I said, I created a Guardian tune and been using him a little bit. You got a little, like, you have to hit to level 80 before you can really do a bunch of stuff in that game, and that's max level, so it lets you start getting into in-game content. And so when you buy Path of Fire, you get a level 80 boost for your character if you want to try something new.
Oh,
and you can
cool.
try it. Well, the cool thing is you make a new character, give it the level 80 boost. You can go to a level 80 area and play for a while, and then decide if you don't want to use that level 80 boost on that character, or you do. So you can try characters out and try the stuff out, and it gives you all the gear you need, like starter level 80 gear. It gives you all the starter stuff that you need to survive. It's very, very cool that they do that and give you that trial period, so you don't just waste it on a character that you're going to hate. So I've been playing my Guardian, and I've been mainly playing my Mesmer. I was an Elementalist, like that. I focused on DPS, and they severely nerfed that thing in the last massive update, getting ready for POF. Path of Fire, and my Ellie just doesn't do the same damage that it used to in the build that I had. So I've been kind of gearing towards my Mesmer, and I'm going to be playing a ton of that this weekend in between working and stuff. But yeah, I've been playing just basically those 3 games: No Man's Sky and, well, a minute or two of New Vegas before it crashed, and then Guild Wars. What about you, Shaline? Oh, sorry. What's up, Vendor?
Oh, I was just gonna say I like the screenshots that you had been sending us.
Oh,
Yes.
so good.
Yeah, it's pretty entertaining.
So good. I should have brought some of those and had them ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the one thing I want to say about No Man's Sky is that I think, for them in terms of the reviews right now, it's just a matter of statistics.
Mm-hmm.
You
Right.
know,
Of course.
the proportion of bad reviews outweighs the positive ones. So.
Right, but what I was pointing out is that pretty much all of the positive ones that have been since the updates have been positive. Like, most of the reviews all of the reviews for the most part since the update have been positive. Not so much overall, but it's just it's cool to see that their updates have been working in favor of the game.
Yeah, so if you guys haven't played No Man's Sky, I certainly recommend you to check it out. I play it as well as Rick. I don't think Shaline has given it a go yet.
I did not play much No Man's Sky. I installed it. I played like maybe half an hour, maybe an hour.
Yeah,
not much at
See,
all.
and it's hard when you label a game mentally, right? It's hard to go back to it. But I recommend that you guys check it out. It's super awesome, and I'm sure that you'll enjoy it too.
Indeed. Well, I've been playing a ton of Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, and I actually beat that just a couple of nights ago. I really enjoyed it, very much enjoyed it. I'm a big fan of the Uncharted series, but I had some trepidation going into this one because the protagonist, Chloe, was my most hated character in the Uncharted universe. I hated this lady. I hated her. And so I didn't really expect to like a game featuring her as the protagonist. I bought it anyway because Naughty Dog is one of those developers, that has earned my trust. And I want to play whatever game they make. So I decided to give it a chance and found that there was a lot to love about this game. It's beautiful and well animated, just like you would expect from a Naughty Dog game. You can see the people watching chat or the video version. This little background that Vendortron is over is from Uncharted: Lost Legacy. And I posted a bunch of screenshots recently on Twitter, and none of those were from photo mode. Those were all just vanilla Uncharted. And the story was simple and solid. It was a short game, 8 hours in Shaline time. So in
In Rick time, about 30 minutes.
Yeah, in normal gamer time, probably about 5 to 6 hours. In Shaline time, it was 8 hours. Some games of this ilk can really overstay their welcome, so I thought it was a good length for the game. I never really felt like it dragged out. I never really felt like, oh, this has got to be the end, right? No, it had a good flow, good pacing. And they really did a great job with Chloe. It's a big thing to have someone new, a new character, helming an Uncharted title that has previously featured such a beloved character in Nathan Drake. And I think she was a good choice, ultimately. I think it was a good choice. The relationship between Chloe and Nadine, who's sort of the sidekick character, progressed really believably throughout the game from a sort of antagonistic business relationship into a real friendship. And I really liked the way that it went. There was a bit of a plot twist, no spoilers, but there was a bit of a plot twist 2/3 of the way through that I thought was really unnecessary. And I thought the game was worse for that. So you guys that have played it know what I'm talking about. And that got on my nerves a little, but not enough to really sully the game for me. Puzzles were better than I remember them being in previous Uncharted games. I actually had to check a guide for one puzzle. Uncharted has traditionally not had the best puzzles. You know, they're really just filler. But these were fun, challenging puzzles, and I enjoyed them. And Chloe has a new lockpick ability. That's a new thing for the franchise, and I thought it really added a cool wrinkle to the gameplay. I played really stealthily most of the time, so it would get really tense as I was picking a lock on a munitions crate and like trying to get it done before the guard finished his circuit and got back to see me. And the stealth was so fun. Stealth takedowns were brutal and satisfying, and I really enjoyed just sneaking around.
Nice.
The game seems to encourage stealth as a playstyle, and that said, I did have a bit of a problem with this, because a little over halfway through, they throw you into some combat situations where stealth really isn't an option. You know, the cutscene ends, and there's dudes shooting at you, and you're supposed to shoot back. And it was really jarring because I hadn't fired a shot throughout the whole game, and all of a sudden, everybody's shooting at me.
Yeah, dodging bullets like
and
Neo.
I was like, okay, sights. How do I throw a grenade? I didn't even know what gun I had. It was a disaster. It was really funny, but I did enjoy Uncharted Lost Legacy, and if you're on the fence about it, I'd say go ahead and give it a try.
That's a really cool situation though. I mean, you know, if you did in that situation actually use stealth because you weren't a fighter, and then all of a sudden everyone's shooting at you, you would have this panic moment of where are my grenades?
Yeah, it was a total disaster. It was really fun though. I'm sorry, I forgot what I was gonna say. I just totally spaced it. But it was good. I liked Uncharted, so I recommend it. And I'd like to talk a little bit more about Hellblade, guys. I know I've talked a ton about Hellblade on a previous podcast, but I finished the game and I have feelings, you guys. Hellblade. It was so good. The combat is so good once you get used to it. I remember in the beginning feeling like it was so slow and ponderous, but by the end of the game, after I was really, you know, I had a good handle on the pacing, I was doing these jump attacks and rolls and stuff that I had no idea was possible. And it was just splendid. I felt so good doing the combat in this game. It had an automatic difficulty level, and that's what I used. And I thought that was really cool. When you were really getting owned a lot, then the next time that you went through an encounter, there would be fewer enemies, or they would approach you one at a time for a while. And when you were really doing well, then they would just throw in more enemies and tougher enemies, then they would seem smarter. And Uncharted did a similar thing. I noticed I died several times in Uncharted one place, and then it sort of kind of skipped me ahead a little bit. It put me in a better position the next time.
We're going to move you ahead a few spaces. Yeah.
But in Hellblade, there was a tremendous difficulty spike partway through the game, and I did actually lower my difficulty a bit because I wasn't having fun anymore. But I loved the story, and it went to some really cool places, and I loved Senua, the main character, and I miss her now that the game is over. And I really do hope that the guys at Ninja Theory make some more content for this game. It was amazing, incredible, special, and it's a Game of the Year contender for me. I absolutely have Hellblade on the short list. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to finishing it whenever I find the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you should. It was very good, Vendortron. So
I didn't realize that was an indie. I thought that was a AAA.
I
honestly.
know it looks like a AAA. It plays like a AAA. But they published it themselves. So
And
Wow.
and I think the point there to make is that that's why they made the game so short, because they wanted it to be the best possible quality that they can make it,
yes.
and not have to charge you an arm and a leg like you would with a AAA game. So
You can respect that. You can respect that.
so I think that they did fantastic job, and they were probably more popular for it anyways.
Yeah, Hellblade was in the neighborhood of 7 hours Shaline time. So
Archin's asking, is there room in the narrative for DLC? I think that there would be for sure.
well, having seen the ending, I feel like they could tell another story. It would be a
There it
different
is.
story, but I think they
This
could
is,
tell another story.
It's like another Life is Strange.
Yeah. Speaking of Life is Strange, I played that on stream with you guys, and it was real fun.
Yeah.
So
Boring.
that was pretty
What?
cool.
Really? Are you being serious right now?
Yeah, I didn't like it at all.
Oh
Really?
man.
It was like I
Well,
remember
see-
one time reading this Peanuts comic strip, and Linus was like, "Lucy, can you tell me a story?" And she's like, "Yeah, fine. A man was born, he lived, and then he died. The end." And she throws the book over her shoulder and walks away. And I kind of feel like that encapsulates that episode.
But it's not done yet.
Wow.
It's not done. We still got to hang out with Rachel, and Joyce has to go to the diner, and they're resolving their dad's death, and there's all
Have a
this stuff that has to happen.
I just feel like it wasn't enough to hook me in that, like, okay, she had that little trancy dreamy state, but like she was in the car with her dad when he died, so traumatic, like, but it's not enough like to hook me into like, oh, something crazy is gonna happen.
So should they put like a gun in her hand or what?
Yeah, she should have killed everybody, and then I would have been on board. No, I like if there were like little things, maybe I missed stuff in the first episode, like the first part of that made me would have like made.
Yeah,
that
you know
would
what? You're
like it.
probably that's I could see that.
Yeah.
But like just jumping into it, it felt like a lot of drama with a lot of nothing.
Yeah. Well, Vendor and I really enjoyed Life is Strange. I actually went through yesterday and finished getting the collectibles, all the
course you did.
graffitis. So
Why am I not surprised by
yeah,
that?
achievements. But you know what I found, Vendortron, is that we missed a whole scene at the school.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you
you
know,
were saying something about
before
that.
the D&D session, there's a whole scene where you get confronted by the principal, and you have to talk your way out of getting searched by the principal. And then there's another one of those scenes, like on the train. You know how it just was sort of this interminable sitting on the train. There
Like,
was
okay,
one of
is
those
it- was
sitting
it-
scenes as well.
Was it like we missed it as in we totally took a different route and the dialogue never appeared, or we went through the process but we just never noticed?
No, we never experienced that at all. We
Cool.
we went a different direction and never saw it.
So I wonder how many other scenes are out there that we might see that's
I don't know.
Hmm.
But anyways, that was a thing. We'll probably stream at some point the other episodes. Rick, you don't have to be there. if you don't
I
want
will
to.
be there.
We can do them as like a bonus Thursday stream or something.
Yeah, it's like,
So-
okay, we're doing it next week. I gotta work. Sorry guys. Yeah.
I feel
I will
myself
be
coming
there.
down with something.
Yeah. And then he's like playing Guild Wars. We can see it online that he's playing Guild Wars.
That's amazing.
He's streaming Guild Wars.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, Bender, let's do our stream here. Rick's already using the
Yeah.
channel.
Yeah, welcome back to Gamestack. Rick can't join us because he's got a cold.
That's amazing. So I've also played a bunch of Mario Kart 8. I picked up a copy of Mario Kart 8, and I was playing it with the guys over at the ASA podcasting group. They have an ASA podkarting Mario Kart podcast. So I was playing with them, and we had a great time. Recorded several episodes of that you can check out. And I started playing it single player after that to unlock some more karts and stuff. I've never really played Mario Kart single player before. For me,
Really?
it's completely a community experience. I never play it alone. I only play it. It's just a party game basically for me. But I got so into it playing with those guys. I thought I want to unlock more carts and more wheels and all these different customization options. And I started playing it on my own, and it's a lot of fun. So Mario Kart 8, guys. Play some Mario Kart.
It's fun. It's fun on your own too.
Yeah.
Mario Kart Wii is responsible for my marriage, by the way.
No kidding.
Really?
I want to hear this story.
Yeah.
So when the Wii came out, I worked at Target at the time. Or I can't remember if I was still working there, but
Yeah,
we
you
never
did.
had. Yeah, we like couldn't keep Wii's on the shelf, let alone Mario Kart when that thing came out. I mean, they just were gone. So I
That's
remember,
why I bought a Wii, because
Yeah.
Mario Kart. Yeah.
Right, and that's why everybody bought the Wii, because that was the first of the motion controlled controllers and stuff. So, well, not the first, but close to. So one day, we went to the mall to look for Mario Kart. Me and my wife, fiance at the time, and we went into the GameStop, and they're like, "We're sold out of Mario Kart, dude." And so we're like, "Fine, let's go." And as we were leaving, we saw that the ring store was like having a special on rings, and we're like, let's walk in and look at engagement rings. And we walked out with an engagement ring, and we're like, well, I guess we're getting married now.
Nice.
Wow.
That's the official story. It's not the cover story I was requested to tell.
Oh,
anyone who
like you tied it to the cat's collar, and there was wine and candles.
I had we did do a whole thing where we went to a waterfall, and I officially asked, but the true story is that we were looking for Mario Kart, but we found a ring.
That's
Aw.
wonderful. I love that story.
I do too. I think it's much better.
Aww.
Yeah, blue shell you later.
That's just great. I love
I hate
it.
that stupid shell.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Stupid.
That's great.
Stupid.
Well, Vendortron found for us sort of a list of some gaming questions. Do you guys want to go through these?
Oh, let's
Since
do it.
this
That
is our
sounds cool.
first episode, we thought we'd just roll through some general gaming questions. So, what was the last game you bought?
You go first.
Okay.
I'm gonna pull
I
up Steam.
I'm trying to think. I pre-ordered a copy of that new Professor Layton game, Catriel and the Millionaire Conspiracy, for the 3DS, because I've been playing, like, in the last day, the last 20 hours, I've probably spent 6 of them finishing up Professor Layton and the Azran Legacy. So.
Cool. For me, it was Kid Chameleon through the Sega Gen on Steam. I totally recommend you guys buy it. It will be one of the best $3.50 you will ever spend on a video game. I
Nice.
guarantee it. So check it out.
I think I'm not quite sure, because I've had a few gifts from the wish list, and I can't remember what the last game. I think the last game that I purchased was a couple weeks ago, and that was SWAT 3 and 4, back when Sierra Games was a thing. But I've had other games since then that were given to me, but that was the last games that I had purchased. SWAT 3 and SWAT 4.
Cool.
Go figure.
How do you feel about violence in games?
One word, Maisie.
Vendor? Vendor, are you muted?
You're muted.
You're muted, Vendor.
Sorry, guys. I'm trying to. I think they certainly have their place, and they should be there. Yep.
Yeah,
There'd be a lot more violence in our own world, I think,
I agree.
if there wasn't violence in video games. A lot of people think it's the other way around, but
Mhm.
I don't think
Yeah,
I
it's
quite agree.
yeah, I agree with you.
I'm typically a fan of violence in games, but now and again, it does make me a little uncomfortable. There have been games that I've had to avoid because the violence was just not making me feel good. So I can't really think of an example right now. I was trying to think of one.
The letdown.
I was trying to think of one, but now and again, like, I can't think of a specific example for you guys because I'm on the spot. But now and again, I
This
opt
is
out
the
of a
point,
game
though.
because it's just too much. Oh, yeah, you guys have got my back.
Guys in the
Manhunt
chat?
is actually
Yeah.
a game that did make me uncomfortable.
Outlast, Dead
Outlast also made me extremely uncomfortable. I was never able to finish it. Resident Evil 7, the style of the violence in that game was a little too much for me. The Dead Space fetus killing.
Yes, that was a tough one.
The
Cross
most
the line.
recent one, The Witcher had an evil fetus. The Witcher 3 had an evil fetus. And it was a lot for me. It was a little much.
That's that
So-
stuff doesn't really get to me too much. It was a little strange, especially the Dead Space killing babies thing. I'll tell you what made the only animation that ever made me cringe was in I think it might have been Hitman 1, like the first Hitman or something.
Mhm.
You can use a hammer, and you basically put the hit T. I don't know. You put the guy down on the floor. You take the hammer and you just whack him in the back of the head, and it made this hollow like sound. And when he goes to pull it out, he pulls on the handle, but it's stuck.
Ugh.
So he pulls like a couple times, and when it comes out, it's like.
So it gives you like a little squelch.
Yeah, that made it was hollow. The hollowness made me like that. But it ended up being one of my most favorite animations because it made me cringe. But yeah, I will say that when you guys were streaming Resident Evil 7, the demo, I guess,
Oh my god.
I had walked downstairs to get something food or something. And the next day, because my daughter can see my computer screen from her room, and the next day my daughter was like, "Daddy, I saw the monsters," and I was like, "What are you talking about?"
No.
And she had watched you guys stream Resident
no.
Evil 7 and then fell asleep to tell me the next day that she loves that video game.
Okay, so
Wow.
here's my theory behind it. When we stream Let's Plays and they're scary games, they're actually really enjoyable because they're not scary anymore because we're just like,
Or she couldn't hear you.
Did you see that box? What was it? What was in that
Mhm.
box? Like
That's amazing, Rick. That's amazing. Archon mentions Catherine and the weird enemies. I actually played and loved Catherine. It was almost my game of the year for that year.
fantastic.
It does have weird enemies. I keep meaning to stream it. We need to stream Catherine.
Yeah.
Dirty Llama's right with Silent Hill 2 for me specifically when Pyramid Head basically violates sexually the mannequins.
Ooh.
That was really creepy. That was very
Yeah.
creepy.
What is the next game that you plan to buy?
Oh, I got this.
Take it.
You know what it is?
Cuphead.
Cuphead.
Yeah, man.
Nice.
That's
Totally.
I may
Yep.
also buy Cuphead.
Next
should
thing
all
on my
three
list.
buy it.
Yeah.
It is 2-player co-op.
Oh,
What?
really?
Yes.
We're doing
Yeah.
this, guys. We're doing this.
I don't know if it's local though. I am not sure about PC.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just gonna have to fly there.
Is it only local? Okay.
I know on the console it's local. I don't know if it's going to be 2-player co-op on PC. I'm not quite sure.
Okay, if one of our lovely mods would kindly do the research and find out.
Yep, Joseph
I
Tao
was gonna say Joseph.
probably already knows. so.
Probably on it. Yeah, I think my answer is also Cuphead. So
Mousetrap in the I just want to real quick, a few people in the chat room, somebody saying Fallout Game of the Year edition. Okay. Better late than never. Call of Duty World War II, which does intrigue me a little bit. I'm a little cautious on the historical accuracy of that game.
it looks rad though.
Joseph is saying the Shadow of War, if he can get over Warner Brothers being awful.
Yeah, I am so turned off of Shadow of War. Yeah, no way. No way for me. So, how important are video games to you?
Who's going?
Um,
We got to figure out a system.
well, it's so important that it's part of my life and it always will be.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Video games are my main form of entertainment, really. I would choose video games over TV, movies, most other forms of entertainment.
Yeah, I would say in a way it's also a kind of a therapy.
So it sounds like
yeah.
Cuphead is local. We may get online later on. So.
Okay. Well, yeah, games are super important to me. Almost even to my survival, really. I mean, a lot of us can say that. So yeah, they're very, very important to me. As silly as some people may think that sounds.
No, not at all. My grandpa always my grandpa always said, "Make your passion your survival."
Yeah, I mean, and you know, my wife plays now. My daughter has no choice; she's hooked already.
She's going to be the next co-host.
We do limit screen time. But yeah, so I mean, it's yeah, they're very, very important.
Yeah, great.
She's like, "Daddy, it's time to go to bed."
Oh,
I think you've been playing a little bit too long. 5 more minutes.
Every night since I've been playing Guild Wars, she's been complaining because I haven't been playing Fallout, so she can't watch me play that and she falls asleep.
How funny.
That's really cool though, because
It is very cool.
For you, it's not only that personal piece, but it's family too.
Yeah. I mean, it was
That's
integral
really
in me
nice.
and my wife's dating. I mean, we played Gears of War all the time in Halo. You know, she was a heavy gamer before I even met her.
So what was your wedding cake topper?
We actually really didn't even want a wedding cake, but her grandmother
Parents.
insisted we have one.
Okay.
We didn't have a topper. It was just a cake. We didn't want one. We just had cupcakes
That's
because we were like, that's much more handy.
Yeah, I would just imagine like 2 go-karts on the top of it. It's, you know.
No, we spent as little as we could on our wedding, so we could spend as much as we could on our honeymoon.
I'm laughing at the chat. Okay, Holoff and Shoot You says, when we end up in retirement homes, we'll
Still
still
love
be
that game-
playing video
that name.
games. And Archin says, at that point, I can finally clear my backlog.
Yeah.
And Mousetrap says, we'll have a Skyrim port on the Xbox 30.
Well, this is it, right? Gamers, by large, are an aging population.
Yeah.
And we're only getting older, and we still love video games. And so the new people that come in are going to be like, video games.
Fantastic.
We use holograms. Like, I don't know.
So,
I keep wondering what that technology is we're not going to get behind.
Yeah.
I don't understand how to work with a replicator.
Yeah.
Like,
I just want some crackers.
I don't know. I'm already a curmudgeonly old person with some of the new social media stuff. Like, I refuse to participate in Instagram. I refuse to participate in Snapchat. I'm already a curmudgeon. So.
Well, those things for me aren't so much like my unfamiliarity with them. It's that what do I want to contribute my mental capacity to?
Yeah.
It's not that we can't understand him. I'm just saying I can't wait to see the thing that, like, I mean, you all know the
That is
meme
just
of-
blows your mind. Like, it's so far beyond you that you're.
Well, you've seen the meme of the grandmother, like, she's adjusting her glasses, looking at the computer screen.
Uh-huh.
Like, when that will be us with whatever we'll be facing and adjusting our proverbial glasses to.
My grandmother is she's 90 this year. She just got an iPhone 7.
Aw.
So she now has the
great.
most advanced cell phone in the whole family.
Nice. Nice.
But yeah. Anyways.
How do you feel about downloadable content for games?
I think it's dependent on the game. I think Fallout 4 had some really good DLC coming out, and I think we all really enjoyed that. But I also think that some DLC is just crap, and shouldn't really be out there. So I don't know. I think it's all depends.
DLC, you know, I was watching one of those cracked videos about, like, if video game commercials were honest, and they talk about early release basically saying, we're going to let you pay full price for a game that's not finished yet. And they were talking about DLC too. Like, we're going to let you pay full price for a game that you have to basically pay more for more content. Like, you know, content that would have been included in games previously. I think that DLC is one of those things that makes or breaks a game company, as in trust. Just because you have to, especially when it comes to season passes, you really have to trust that game company to give them your money and hope they deliver. Now, see, with Fallout 4 in their season pass, I really don't feel like they delivered. I mean, it wasn't to the level of the original DLC. And when you set your benchmarks to what Fallout 3 or even what you allowed Obsidian to do with New Vegas, that's everyone's yardstick. That's where everyone's zero is for Fallout 4, and specifically Fallout 4. And so now that they're doing this silly little creation club thing, it's like it just feels like an insult, and the trust is starting to wither for a lot of gamers. I mean, I just saw the Bethesda or Fallout's Twitter tweeted out a picture of the armor from Doom for the Creation Club, and every single tweet reply was negative. Every
Trash fire.
single one.
Oh man.
So I like DLC. I mean, Guild Wars specifically does a bang up job, and even when they did screw it up, like with Heart of Thorns expansion, they charged full price, like $60. This new expansion, which is more than Heart of Thorns as far as like content, is half the price of what Heart of Thorns was, because they heard everyone's cries of, why am I paying full price for an expansion? And so they're like, okay, next time you don't have to pay full price. And they dropped it. So they listen. So when game companies do that stuff, you can trust them with things that like DLC. And I think it's good for games, especially when you want to play more of that game. It doesn't feel like a cheat if the company does it right. It's such a touchy subject nowadays.
My personal feelings is that I love downloadable content as long as it is appropriately priced for what you get. I love story expansions, new quests, new areas. I love that stuff. If I find a game that I love, I would continue playing new quests for it forever. Like, I would still be playing Fallout, Fable 2 DLC if they would still be releasing them.
Yeah.
It's I would play it forever. If they would keep releasing, like, every 6 months, if they would give us a Far Harbor or a Nuka World, I would play it forever.
Absolutely.
But I'm not really huge on sort of the more cosmetic things. I'm not really too big on these more microtransaction-y, like, hey, character skins and weapon skins. I feel like that tends to be overpriced and not the best. So that's my feeling about DLC. Do you care about stories in games?
I absolutely do. I think stories oftentimes will make the game. Yep. Definitely.
Yeah.
I'd like to see more stories in MMOs. Ark tried to do it, but everybody ignored it. So,
yeah.
Gotcha.
To me, stories are one of the main priorities in a game. I will overlook a bad story if the gameplay is fantastic, but I tend to look at story basically first in a game.
Yeah, story definitely has to be there in a game for me to care about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Shadow of Colossus, they didn't even have, I don't even think they really had words. I mean, they had like some dialogue in it, but it really had no dialogue at all. And that was one of the sweetest stories I'd ever experienced.
It's all relative for me. I mean, I could play a video game that has a storyline and not be in it, and then play a video game that doesn't have a storyline and be totally into it. Or vice versa. I could play a video game that has a storyline and not be able to put it down, and then play, just an online MMO or some sort of building game and not be into it. So I think it all depends. But
yeah, definitely.
I think that just speaks more to my eclecticness when it comes to video games more than anything.
And a lot of this stuff is relative. A lot of these questions are very opinionated and relative.
Indeed. So this is our final one of these questions. What games would you like to see more of in the future?
Well, I would like to see some more Fallout.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Fallout. I mean,
I think that's our answer.
But I would also like to see some remakes of old games like Wolfenstein. I'm really excited to see that coming out.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say they're doing that. You know that, right?
Yeah, no. I'm excited to see that they're coming. I would like to see more like that. Yeah, and like the Cuphead game, like that's totally awesome. I think that's great. It's not a remake, but yeah.
I really want a space western, and I think I mentioned that before.
Yeah,
like
we've talked about this before.
I really want a Firefly game.
Yes. Oh man, there is water on Mars, guys. Dry land is not a myth.
That's amazing.
What about you, Shaline?
Well, aside from the obvious answer of Fallout, I've really been digging a lot of these sort of story games like I've been playing lately, like Uncharted Lost Legacy and Hellblade, and they're a great length. They're a really great length for me, being about 6 to 8 hours, and I would love to see some more strong story games told in a short time. I really like that. I'd like to see more of that, please. So
game gods, make it happen.
let's do that.
Do
So
my
guys,
game dance.
we don't have any emails yet, obviously, because this is our first episode. But I posted a thread a couple weeks back in the Facebook group asking for feedback about what they want from the podcast, and I would like to sort of go through some of those replies because they were really great. And I know Vendortron, you haven't seen them because you're not on the Facebook, so I just wanted to sort of share those with everybody, and we could talk about it a little bit. Rick, what's that face?
I heard white noise.
Oh, okay.
It just kind of. I was wondering if we had dropped connection or something.
No, I'm fiddling. Keep going.
Okay, good deal. Well, we had from here. So first off, we had from Blake. I've always gotten a laugh from your gameplay of the week segments in Fallout off the record, so definitely more of those stories. Obviously, it doesn't need to be Fallout related, just whatever you have been playing. And this one I thought was a really great suggestion from Jeff. He says, how about a little contest, either between the hosts or the listeners? A few friends and I have done this thing where we play video game music, not the type where it's real music, like licensed music, but Mario 64 or Sonic game music. We would try and guess what game it was in, and sometimes what level or scene. And I think that would be cool to have listeners submit music for you guys to guess, or you play music and we try to guess.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
We'd have to be
thought that
careful in
was
the length
such a
because of
good
the copyrights.
Such a good. Well,
No, it'd be like 5
it would
seconds.
be fine because
Yeah.
Less than 5 seconds.
Nobody cares about audio podcasts, and we won't monetize the YouTube. No, I mean nobody cares about copyrighted things on audio podcasts.
BMI and ASCAP would beg to differ.
Well, they probably won't be listening to Gamestack, but I wouldn't worry about it too much.
I just think that like only 5 seconds would be so obvious for some of those like. Oh, I know what that is.
Yeah. And then you're wrong.
That would be amazing.
Oh man. Yeah, those are great ideas. And I am going to get my profile sorted. Facebook brought it down because I wasn't a real human, so
Yeah. He failed the CAPTCHA test.
so when that box when it says when you have to click, it says I am not a robot.
Bigot.
I just couldn't click it, you guys. I just couldn't click it.
Katie says, I work a weird, erratic schedule on top of being a full-time student, so I love the podcasts personally. It's nice to have content that people can participate in live, but also content available for listening, viewing, whatever. Gameplay and news were always my faves. So that's coming, Katie. This will be available as an audio thing. Sherry suggests that we should check out a game called Absolver because it looks interesting. Have you guys seen Absolver?
No, I have not heard of it.
It's sort of like a fighting game, but it's a very like intense and artistic fighting game. It looks pretty cool. I don't think it's something that I would actually enjoy playing. Yeah. Mike says, I love the gameplay of the week segments, audio or video, doesn't matter. I also like the weekly challenges. Maybe you could feature a guest's gameplay of the week. That would be cool. We have misadventures too, you know.
Yeah. I would love, actually, that would be a really cool thing.
That was a
is
great
to
idea.
have somebody do a playthrough of something, even just a part of a story or a quest.
Yeah, just
and take a series of screenshots to tell the story. And we'll read the dialogue as we go through the.
Even just a plain old standard text email or voicemail telling us a zany story from something that happened to you in a game, you know.
Yeah.
Tell us your gameplay stories. We would love to hear that.
Yeah.
And Wesley says, I kind of liked the video game club y'all were doing in Katie Radio. I wonder what it would be like if you did one for an open world title. So we did kind of drop off of Game Club, so maybe we should try that again someday with a short video game.
Yeah.
With a
something-
very
I'm not even
short
familiar
video
with what you were
game.
doing.
Something in Rick time.
Yeah, we did a game club for Deus Ex Mankind Divided. And if we did a game club again, something I would want to do is really really set a schedule. This time we're going to be doing these quests before next time, you know, and we'll do. So
Yeah,
I
and
would like to have that
s-
more structured if we did it again.
Exactly. And I would say with the game club also that part of the logistics and the planning behind it and the communication should be done through the Facebook page.
Yes, I think that's a great idea, or even the Discord as well would be another.
Yes,
great
good point.
avenue.
Yeah,
Like, it'll
Discord's a lot better
put
for
a
that
room
stuff.
in Discord for that.
Yeah, make a whole channel and everything.
Shane says, I really loved the Fallout OTR episodes where Rick would play and Shaline would give commentary. That makes you the first one, Shane.
Anyway, sheesh.
I drive a lot and listen almost exclusively via podcast. It gives me the feeling of playing when I cannot. When
Oh,
Shaline would
fantastic.
slowly ramble off into nonsense or silence when Rick was doing something particularly interesting, and everyone would realize it at the same time, was hilarious. I also enjoyed the game club you had on KDR. I actually bought Deus Ex and started playing through it to try and keep up and hear your adventures.
Well, we're going to have to keep
Awesome.
going with that.
Yeah, sounds like there is some interesting
Yeah.
game clubs, so we would want
Yeah.
to do some more structure with that. That's something I'd be interested in doing again.
Cool.
Yeah, and
So-
I gotta do more Fallout stuff. Vanilla games. I gotta stop modding these things. They just fall apart.
Yeah,
Just
man.
break it. Mod it till it breaks.
That's just an unofficial patch mod,
Well,
and
guys,
then everything just melts.
I think we made a podcast. I think
Did
we
we
made
make a podcast?
I think
Yeah.
it turned out all right. What do you think? I think it turned out all right.
Yeah.
We will find out in the comments.
Yes,
Yeah,
we'll know very
yeah,
soon.
okay.
The internet will tell us. We will know very soon. Thank you, internet, for joining us for this podcast of our first episode of Gamestack. We hope you loved it. We hope you'll stick with us for future episodes. Please send us feedback. We love your feedback. Before we roll into our contact info, do you guys have anything you want to plug? Rick, I think you're working on another podcast.
No, situations arose.
Okay. Vendor, you doing any streaming?
I want to do some streaming, but that's not going to happen
Okay.
probably till at least reading week. But yeah, my life has totally been flipped upside down. But I would like to say that the attention and the support in springboarding this endeavor has been absolutely phenomenal, and you guys have been totally supportive, and it's been really awesome. Even just within this first episode, we've reached new milestones in numbers and web traffic. So thank you for your support, and
Yeah.
go out there and
Mhm.
tell your friends about the podcast. If you have somebody that you know in mind that likes video games just as much as you, share the podcast with them, because it's a community thing, right? The bigger we are, the better. So
I think we've
And-
all been floored by the support. I can't believe how fast this project has grown.
I can't believe either. I mean, when we did the first Let's Play, we went from like 5 followers to 85 followers,
Yeah.
which is crazy. So that's just the perfect metric for showing how successful.
What were you going to say, Rick?
And I'm so happy to be back podcasting, especially about video games again. It just
High five.
know-
High five. Oh, what? There it is.
I have a face for radio. But no, it feels so good to be back doing this again. I love broadcasting and I love talking about video games. It's my absolute favorite thing to do. And so being back, especially with you two, and the history that we've created and the things that we've created together is like awesome that we can bring all of it into the trifecta of perfection.
Yeah.
Trifecta of perfection.
I'm thrilled that you're back, Rick, and I'm thrilled to be able to do this with you guys. Like I said at the beginning, 2 of the best friends a girl could have, and we're all super lucky to be doing this. So if you guys are interested in some video game streams, this podcast is not going to happen weekly. It will happen every other week. And on the off weeks, we will stream a video game. Next week, it's probably going to be Cuphead. So yay, Cuphead. And I did want to just mention again, you can hear me on the most recent and some upcoming episodes of ASA Podcarding, Mario Kart podcast. We
I
had
have
a
got
really
to
fun
get myself
time.
on there.
It was really fun.
That's amazing.
Yeah, the 4th episode, I don't even know if they're going to be able to use it because we were playing battle mode while we were recording. So
Oh, and
it's
everybody was just
basically
screaming at
just
each
all
other.
of us screaming, "No! No!"
Get off of the grass!
So check that out. And now we'll go with the contact info unless any of you guys had anything else you want to add. Okay. You can email us at our brand new email address, info@wejustlovegames.com. info@wejustlovegames.com. We're on Twitter at wejustlovegames. I am at Shaline L, SHALINEL. Vendortron is at VendortronN. Rick is at Rick McVick. So definitely check us out on Twitter. That's probably the best way to contact us.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook is facebook.com/wejustlovegames. We also have a Facebook group that's been very active. I've been really pleased with how active the Facebook group has been.
All the notifications are awesome.
Facebook.com/groups/wejustlovegames. Blow up Rick's phone, guys. Give him all the notifications. We have a great Discord server that has also been really pleasantly active.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just give us a message, any of us, on any of the platforms that we previously mentioned, and we'll get you a link to the Discord so that you can join that. We record this show live at 6 p.m. Mountain Time on Fridays on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/wejustlovegames. We've got a YouTube channel we'll be posting it to as well. It doesn't have a pretty URL, so just look for the link. We'll post that. And, of course, this is up on iTunes, Stitcher, all the podcast services. Please like, subscribe, and review to our show there and share it with your friends and get us up on the trending podcast ranks. So thanks, guys. That's a podcast. Anything else anyone wants to say?
Have a good evening, guys, and enjoy your weekend.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Okay, I'm gonna go work my way through my stack of games.